Hey everyone, Lauren from A Girl and Her Wool here. So today we're going to be doing another Dye With Me vlog. And before we get into it, I just want to talk about a couple of things really quickly. So one, thank you to everybody who watched any of my Vlogmas videos. That was an interesting experience to try and vlog every single day during a pandemic. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I did a lot of behind the scenes of the business. And so I hope you enjoyed seeing some of that. I showed a little bit of dyeing, so there were kind of some dye with me's along the way there, and then just kind of my day-to-day handling the work that I do. So again, thank you for that. And then also thank you to everybody who joined the Dye With Me club. So if you haven't heard, I'm doing a Dye With Me club, which you can purchase over at my shop at agirlandherwool.com. And the way that it works is everyone who, so on the 1st of every month, that's kind of when it automatically renews. So it will automatically renew every month on the 1st of the month if you haven't yet canceled it yet. So you pay nothing up front, and then on the 1st of every month you get charged for that month. And it's less than $20 a month, so it's a really great deal. And so everyone who basically is in the club on the 1st of the month will receive something that I dyed up in a previous Dye With Me vlog. So all the people who are participating and will still be in the club on January 1st will receive something that I dyed up in December. So that is the skeins that we did, the over dyeing. It could be the sock, the one-of-a-kind sock set that we did with the contrasting mini, or it could be some of the skeins that I dyed up in this video. So if you haven't checked that out already, go check it out. Again, it's a great deal. And if you see something you like during these Dye With Me videos, it's a great chance to scoop it up because they're usually mostly 100% of the time one-of-a-kinds. And so this is going to be the only way that you can get those skeins. It's through the Dye With Me club. And there has been great participation in it. So I just want to thank you guys so much. It really helps me do these videos. And again, I'm mostly a dye to order shop. And so by kind of creating inventory up front, it kind of isn't within my business model. So I do appreciate all the support with the Dye With Me club. And I want to say, if you are already in the club, it will renew again on the 1st. If you haven't and you're watching this live, that means you do have a few days to join for the January club. And again, if you join, I think starting on January 2nd, it will sign you up for February 1st. So it'll always be up and available, and that's true for all of my clubs. Just be aware of when it the next club will kind of be. If you are in the club, or if you will be in the club in the future, or if you have already signed up, and if you ever see during these Dye With Me videos a skein that you really want, send me a message either on Ravelry or email me at agirlandherwool@gmail.com to kind of put your preference in on what you receive. Otherwise, I'm just going to be doing this randomly. So again, if you want to send me an email, like first choice is that red skein you did during the over dyeing, and my second choice is a one-of-a-kind sock set. Anything like that, just you can list a few out. If I don't hear from you, it'll be random. If I hear from no one, it's literally gonna be I stack them up and stick something in a bag. So yeah, if you have a preference, you are more than welcome to reach out and let me know. And that will be like on a first come first serve basis. Like the first person who calls dibs on something is the person who gets it. So anyway, today's Dye With Me is going to be, again, a kind of one-of-a-kind skein. We talked about, or in the video 2 weeks ago, I talked about doing kind of maybe something festive because it is the week between Christmas and New Year's. And so I thought it might be fun to do something like festive or New Year's, or just like, you know, a year-end type celebration type skein. So I got a few comments about it. A lot of people said no traditional Christmassy colors, which is fine because one, it is past Christmas already, and two, I know that that isn't everyone's cup of tea. And so I was already leaning towards the New Year's one. People said like non-traditional wintry type things, and I think it was Juliet who commented about doing like a hindsight 2020 type skein, which I thought was a really fun idea. Although her comment said, I don't know what that looks like, and my comment was like, oh, that's funny, but I don't know what that looks like. And so I decided it would just be like a New Year's themed one after all. So and yeah, so I didn't want to do something like depressing, like COVID. There are many jokes about COVID and the pandemic, plenty of memes and everything like that. I don't want to make a joke of it. It's a very serious thing, and so I didn't want to, one, make a joke out of COVID and do something like that, or two, make a depressing skein. I mean, knitting is fun and there's a lot of serious things that come along with knitting and the knitting community, but I didn't want to do a bleak and dire skein either. And so it's not COVID related by any means, but my hindsight 2020 brought me back to how for New Year's last year, so going into 2020, a lot of people wanted to do Roaring 20s themed parties. Like, we were going into the 20s, everyone was excited, so everyone had like costume Roaring 20s type of thing. So that is the theme of the skein. And what I did was, because I didn't have the colors in my head, so sometimes I kind of come up with the colors first and I know what dyes I want to use and what I want to do, and then sometimes I find inspiration photos. So like for my mystery skein clubs, I find inspirational photos and base my colors off of that. And so I decided to head onto the internet and try to find some inspiration for what a Roaring 20s skein would look like. And so I did do a screen grab of that, so I'm gonna play that first before the dye with me. And yeah, so I don't think there's anything else I have to tell you beforehand. I'm going to give a non-audio, just sneak peek of the skeins if you want to see it beforehand. I did dye one skein. The skein you're gonna actually see me dyeing in the dye with me was on my BFL sock base. I'm not sure, oh, I haven't done the voiceover yet, but that is on my BFL sock base. I also dyed it up on my DK base, so you guys can see kind of a comparison of that. But I didn't show like the filming of it that way. I do plan to do a dye with me about different bases, and so I figured keep this one a little bit shorter and save it for that. So again, I'm gonna do a non-audio, so if you don't wanna see what the skein looks like until the end, skip ahead like 10 seconds. Otherwise, I'm going to show it now. Okay, so let's head to the computer for our inspiration, and then we'll do the dyeing and then come back because I'll show you guys what the finished skeins look like. Hey everyone, so we're at the computer now, and I just wanted to go through and kind of figure out what I wanted to do with this colorway. So again, the theme is hindsight 2020, and I'm really gonna pull on the Roaring 20s theme. That's kind of what we thought going into this year, and it's probably something that we should think through as we continue the 20s, right? Like 2020 was just one year. And so I'm going to just plug in Roaring 20s color scheme. It's probably color palette that I usually do. And this is what I do with a lot of colorways. So I think about things I want to do. And what's cool is that, and Roaring 20s might not be the best kind of do that here, but we get here Roaring 1920s colors. So I'm just gonna probably, because nothing's really coming up, just try to get a theme, get an idea of what we look at with the Roaring 20s. And of course, all the photos are in black and white, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? Like, it's okay to have black and white photos. But maybe what I want to do is not look at Pinterest. Again, it's all black and white photos. And of course I know the bright red, right? Like, the bright red is something that I definitely will plan to do in there. And I'm getting a theme of like this gold and silver. Even with Pinterest, I think they showed it with a lot of like gold, like those metal tones basically. If you look here, it's interesting that there's no like bright red showing up, right? Like that's what I feel like I think of, right? Like these two girls dressed in bright red. But yeah, it's a lot of the golds and the silvers, which is interesting because I thought about that just for a New Year's color. So maybe what I'll just do is like a gold and silver theme. Gold and silver theme, and maybe I'll just like speckle red or just do like a highlight of red, whereas it won't be like a red skein. Because that seems to be a lot of what it is. And again, I'm not like this huge fashion person that I like study fashion of different time periods. I guess I just always thought of bright red with the roaring 20s, but I'm not necessarily seeing that. Like it's a lot of the blacks, the golds, and the silvers. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Again, I didn't do very much. I didn't really find like a photo I'm going to use as inspiration. It's kind of just like this overall feel, and I'm just going to kind of go with it, which is something that's really nice for one-of-a-kind colors, right? Like I can just go for it, and like if I'm not liking how it's turning out, I can add a little bit more here and there, not worry about writing down the recipe or having to replicate it later, which is really nice. In some ways, doing only one-of-a-kind colors would be really nice, except you would get a lot of people requesting things that you then couldn't do. So anyway, I think that's the theme we're gonna do. We're gonna do the New Year's Eve theme, I guess, with the gold and the silvers and maybe some black. I don't want to do too much black on there, but maybe I'll do kind of speckles of black and speckles of red, but have it be more of like a gray and gold skein overall. We're gonna see how this works out. Again, I can't do like a metallic on there, so we'll see how it translates into the yarn. But yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do for today's dye with me. So let's head over to the dye pots and see what we come up with. Again, this is a good test. It'll be a fun thing to do. And again, if you end up liking this color and you're in the Dye With Me club, make sure you shoot me an email and request it. So let's go to it. All right, so I mentioned this in the beginning, but this is a 100-gram skein of my BFL sock base. I do love dyeing this base. It's just a really great sock yarn, and I love how the high twist plies that you can even see from here, they just show speckles and dyes, and I just have fun dyeing them. So anyway, I have the yarn in the pot right now heated up. The water level is kind of at a midpoint. It's not too high, not too low. I don't plan on speckling too much, and so I'm okay if the colors kind of blend, but because I was going for some of those golds and silvers, I don't want them to blend too much. So just kind of randomly piled it so it's spread out evenly, and we don't get too many splotches. I put some of that gray on there. What I like about this gray dye is that you can see when it speckles to almost a black, but then when it goes in the water, you can see it's a lighter gray. So this is where I'm going to get some of that black and that silver in there without having to use a true black dye that could then kind of darken the overall skein. So where this color kind of bleeds out, it'll be silver, and where it stays put, it'll be more of that black, which we saw in the inspirations. So that's kind of the first layer. Again, I'm just going to let it sit and set so it doesn't move around and gray up the whole skein. So you may see me doing some cuts here in and out just to kind of speed up the process, but that's the first bit of it. You will see a recurring theme throughout this video of me, again, moving the skein around a lot, just trying to get it throughout evenly. I don't like it to be too splotchy. I like colors to kind of sit evenly. So again, I moved it around, and now I'm adding a brighter yellow tone that will be used as part of the gold. I do a few different plays on gold in this skein that you're going to see. This is kind of starting out with a brighter yellow gold tone that I'll let be on its own, and then you'll see kind of where we go from there. So again, we have some of that silver and the gold and the black on there already. So again, just playing on the different golds. I have that brighter yellow on there. Now I'm spraying more of like a brownish gold that I use in kind of like the darker parts of my rose gold skein. So the yellow that I use in that always kind of shows up later. So you see a lot of brown early on, but it will turn more gold as the yellow kind of heats up. And so it'll just kind of make it so it's not like this bright yellow skein, but we'll still have a lot of that gold in there. I just felt like having that brownish tone will add kind of a different metallic light color without making the whole skein kind of like this bumblebee yellow and black in there. So that's kind of what I'm doing there. Again, I'm applying everything randomly and letting it set so that things don't blend too much. You can still see the difference in the colors. And then once it kind of sets, that's when I move it around like that. So now I'm just doing the same thing again, the golds and the browns. And you can see I did it very randomly, just kind of sprayed it anywhere I could. And I just do that to kind of prevent it from pooling in one area, kind of keep the skein completely random. And so that's that. This is the fourth color that I'm doing, and you can see I sprayed it in one little spot just to kind of test it, and I ended up darkening it a little bit. I wanted to bring in a little touch of like a bronze-ish color. I felt like that would be a good medium between the way the skein was looking and adding a bright red. At this point, I felt like adding a bright red that I was talking about wasn't going to go over well. And so I thought by doing more of like a bronze color, it's another metallic, but it still has like that red theme to it. So that's what I sprayed in that bottle, and then of course speckled some more of the gray black on there. So where it bleeds into the water, we'll get more of the silver, and where it sits, it'll be more of the black. Again, just kind of piled that on top randomly. And so at this point we have kind of the four colors, the bright yellow, the deeper golden tone, and then golden brown, the black, the gray, and this bronze color. And those are the colors that I use for this. And then I just keep moving the skein around and see how it all plays together. So there I quickly checked to see if it was set. So you saw me kind of poke at it. What that does is I can kind of look at those black speckles, and if they start to move, then I know to leave it on longer, but they were set, so I moved it around. Here, these are whiter parts of the skein, so I want to make sure I get some dye on there. And so I'm just going to keep adding some of the same colors again. And you will see this in the after, but the bronze really didn't show up, and you can see it lightening up here, and I really should have taken note of that and tried to add it as a deeper tone or added more of it. I do end up dyeing this colorway again on DK, and I played around with that a little bit more. So again, stick around at the end because you'll see how kind of adding some more of that bronzish color showed through. This skein turns out pretty yellow and golden, and then the other one turns in more of that bronze color. So definitely will be interested to see what you guys think, which ones you guys like better. And I kind of talk about what I would do with the differences. So it looks like I'm adding a lot of that bronze here, but I'm telling you, when you see the final skein, and you can see some colors really brighten up when you dye. So I've talked about this before, but like I have some purples that like really brighten up as they heat up. I talked about that yellow brightens up. This one, when it dried, it was like barely noticeable. So look around for that at the end. So when it looks like here, it looks like I got a pretty good match of like the blacks, the golds, the silvers, and the bronze. But it comes out pretty yellow in the end, the skein. So it's interesting how that works based on how it's looking now. This is much different than it looks when it dries. So definitely does that sometimes. And when you create colorways, or when I'm creating colorways, sometimes I have to go back and fix it and reformulate it. Sometimes I just have to scrap it and start new. So that can happen. And yeah, I think the skein at this point is probably pretty much done. I might flip it around one more time to see if there's any more white, but I didn't make it too saturated or anything. I kept it pretty light and bright. And so at this point, it's probably pretty much done. So while we wait for this to finish setting, and I might actually move it around one more time, let me know what you guys are planning for New Year's. We'll probably be staying home, but let me know if you're someone who likes to stay up for midnight or not. Maybe that's normal for you. For me, it is not normal to stay up for New Year's, but like the rest of the year, we will be home. And so I might just go to bed. We'll see. But let me know what you guys are planning to do. All right, we are back. So again, I only showed dyeing up on the BFL sock base, but I also have a DK one here too that I dyed separately. And they did come out a little bit different, and I'll talk about why that is in a minute. Again, these are one of a kind, so I don't feel like they need to be exact colors or anything. So I wanted to change it up a little bit based on my thoughts on this one. All right, so what were my thoughts? So one, we did the inspiration for Roaring 20s. It seemed like there were a lot of metallic colors. I was picturing there going to be a lot of bright red, which I was planning to do, and we talked about it a little bit during the dye with me, of why I didn't end up putting the bright red on it. So I went with more of the metallic theme, so the golds, the silvers, the black. We saw a lot of black in that inspiration, and the bronze, which is one thing we're gonna talk about. So if you didn't see it yet, and even if you did, here's the finished skein. So again, you get a lot of the golds in there, the silvers over here, the black, the golds. So again, we have like the bright like yellowy gold, and then I also did more of like the deeper browner gold tones. And where the bronze is, and this was some part of it, is that the bronze didn't really show through when it dried. It was really light. So here it is here. That's kind of like that bronze part. And some of it is in here. So you see it didn't really show up so much. So when I did the second skein on DK, I ended up, there's some of it in there. I ended up adding a little bit more. But overall, what did we do with the skein? We kind of just had those colors, and we would add a little bit of everything and move it around. So you don't get big splotches of the colors. Everything's really blended in there. If you knit this up, it's really just going to be overall of all those colors. And so again, I think this is a very good New Year's themed metallic gold, silver, black. Like I definitely think I hit on what I was going for. I just wish some of that bronze had shown up a little bit more. So again, I didn't show this, but when I dyed up, so this is the skein on DK, and you can see there's a lot less of like the gold tones. And so I kind of did this off screen, and I'll talk a little bit now what I did differently. But I did, again, less of the gold, which you can see. So it's not quite a yellowy skein, but I brought more of that bronze in. So I just did the same techniques I did on the first skein. I just used less of the gold and yellows, and I just used more of that bronze. So you do see it kind of showing up a little bit more. And there, again, it's the same like bottle that I made. It just, I wasn't afraid to use it. So in here you see a lot of it in there. And so that's something that I do a lot in my dyeing, is that if I was going for a certain color to use as a regular colorway, sometimes I go back and add another layer. Sometimes I just start fresh, and sometimes it just doesn't work. And so if I were going to make this into a regular colorway, I'd either nix it, nix that bronze, or make it, darker and use more of it, which I did in here. And I think that that is really nice. It has like a cooler element that adds to that brighter gold. I think if I were making this into a regular colorway, it probably would land somewhere in between, where in these lighter spots here, I'd probably add more of that gold. So that way that it is more blended. Like this one just gives off very gold, very yellow. And this one gives off just like a lighter, even here it's lighter, even though it's like the silvers in there. I would just want it more of this with a lot of that bronze that you see all through here. So again, that is the New Year's themed dye with me. So again, nothing too crazy in the technique. Move the colors around a lot. I know I get questions about, there was a question recently about things muddying up. I find you just have to be patient, wait for a dye to set before adding the next color, because once the dye is absorbed into the yarn, it doesn't then bleed back out. So as long as you kind of are patient and add color slowly, you'll avoid things getting muddied. And I recommend too going back to my live stream that I did for Not in Kansas Anymore, for the pigskin party exclusive colorway, because I used that's a rainbow color. I used every color in the rainbow and did not get it to muddy up. So just kind of go back and watch that one. So anyway, that is that. Again, if you are in the Dye With Me club and one of these is speaking out to you, again, this one is very golden and bright and festive. This one's got more of like the toned down brownish bronze kind of colors. Again, you can also see some of the difference in how the colors play between the different bases. So this isn't too much of a speckled colorway, and I'm going to explain like how you see the difference in speckles on different bases when I do that video. But if you look here, you can see that's where the gray, some of the black is speckled in there. In here you can kind of see some of it in there. I always think of speckling on DK as like fuzzier or more pixelated in a way, where you can see speckles pretty good on fingering weight, but then on DK, because the yarn is thicker, it's like zoomed in. That's like different version of it. Like it's just, you're zoomed in on the speckles a little bit more in that one. So anyway, that is that. So that's that for that Dye With Me. Again, if you are in the Dye With Me club and you want one of these, there's BFL sock and there's DK, let me know. Or if your preference is one of the other ones from January, so it's going to be the ones we did the over dyeing on, or the one of a kind sock set, shoot me a message, let me know. Don't put it in the comments here just because I might lose track of that. So try and send me a message either on Instagram or through email. All right, so that is that. I'm going to be starting another series soon, so kind of similar to the beginning of this video where I was showing some of the inspiration. I'm going to be starting a series on using kind of a photo as inspiration, and I won't give too much more of that away, but what I am going to do is at the end of this video I'm going to throw in some pictures that we could potentially use, and I would love it if you would kind of vote on which one you want to use as inspiration for this series we're going to do. So make sure you do that, and then stick around because I'm also going to be doing a giveaway. Okay, so in my Dye With Me videos, I always do a giveaway. And so last week, I did a giveaway for a $20 gift card. I'm going to do the same thing. I think I'm just going to stick with those for now. Because I do the Dye With Me club, I won't be giving away kind of the skeins that I'm dyeing. So again, make sure if you haven't already, go check out the Dye With Me club. It's less than $20 a month, and you get, I can't promise what you get, but everyone this month is getting in a 100-gram skein, or one person will get the sock set, so it'll get the coordinating mini. Sometimes it could be just minis, it could be 100-gram skeins, it could be a little bit less than 100, a little bit more. It could be any base, sock, BFL, DK, worsted. It really is hit or miss, but you can join up through the first. So if you see something you like while I'm dyeing it up in January, you can join the club. You can go in and out as many times as you want, and so it's not really, you're not buying it prospectively, you're kind of buying it retrospectively. So anyway, go check that out. I'll have a link directly to the Dye With Me club in the description box below. But in the one-of-a-kind sock set video, I did a giveaway where, you know, in general, you just have to comment on the video, answer the prompts that I have. So in this one, please vote for the inspiration photo as well as anything else I might have mentioned during the video. But the winner from last week's video is Denise Chang. So Denise, congratulations, you'll win that $20 gift card. So please get in touch with me via email at agirlandherwool@gmail.com, or you can message me on Instagram, whatever you want, whatever is easier, and I will get that coupon code out to you. So yeah, that is that one. Again, if you want to win a $20 gift card, you could use it for the Dye With Me Club. The gift cards are only going to be good at agirlandherwool.com. So make sure you comment on this video, please give it a thumbs up, recommend it to a friend, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate all of you being here. I hope you had an amazing 2020, as best as it could have been. Maybe amazing is too strong of a word, but we're all gearing up for 2021. I will say I am back to my Tuesday, Friday at 5 p.m. schedule, and I'm really excited about that. And I will be back on Friday, where I will be kind of doing a 2020 reflections on what my goals were and what I hit or miss. And then I think next week I will be doing a 2021 goals video. And there just might be some vlogs. I'm gonna stick to my Tuesday, Friday at 5 p.m., but there might be some bonus videos that pop up. You never know. All right, guys. That is it for today's Dye With Me. Again, if you haven't already, please subscribe. And I will talk to you guys on Friday. Bye.